Hey guys, Lorena Magana with New Filmmakers Los Angeles. Today, I'm talking to director Andrew Flakelar about his new documentary, The Art of Boxing. Let's take a look at a clip from the film.
You can't walk with fear. Fear is my enemy. I conquer fear.
Andrew, why don't you give our viewers a brief synopsis of your documentary, The Art of Boxing?
Art of Boxing is a short documentary film about a grassroots level boxer from the Bronx named Newton the Butcher Kid. He's been fighting for a long time, and he's basically on the edge of whether his career is going to work out or not.
How did you come up with the idea behind this film?
I'd originally met Butch through another shoot I was directing at the gym where he trains, and found him to be a very accessible and interesting character. And from that, I definitely came up. I had so many questions that I wanted to ask him about, what a grassroots level boxer is all about and what that world is all about. We all know that at the pinnacle, it's the bright lights and glitz and glamour and huge prize money and Vegas and all that stuff. But underneath that is like a huge, a huge community of real passionate amateur and semi-professional and professional fighters who are aspiring to get at the top of that totem pole. So there are so many questions that I wanted to ask. On top of that, being down at the gym, there's such an incredible aesthetic around boxing, and these old dusty gyms where there's, you get the sense of the history in the walls and the textures and the, so visually it was very engaging as well.
Was your subject, Newton the Butcher Kid, really open to the idea of being filmed?
I think he was very open to it, but more so because it was an opportunity for exposure for him. So much about the boxing world and any professional sports really, it's a lot about where you can get your face on TV or where you can get any exposure. And I think for a boxer at the level of his career, any press is good press, and this was certainly going to be good press. So he was open to that. I don't think he really knew what kind of an interview it was going to be. I'd shown him some footage that I'd shot, and he could see that it was quite beautiful and looked really nice, and he even said, like, oh, that's really artistic. And so he was engaged on that level, but I don't think he really knew what the interview was going to be about or what the film was going to be about. And to be perfectly honest, I wasn't entirely sure either, because it is such a broad area. There is a lot of, it could have gone any number of directions. So the interview was designed to cover a broad range of topics from which we'd be able to, define a story.
What was your shooting style like?
With the shooting of the training sequence and with the with the fight sequence, obviously we had the cooperation of Butch and knew that we were filming him. And in the training sequence, it was he was actually training, but he knew that he was training for us to film. So there was a bit of a setup there. But as far as camera technique, we definitely were operating more on the longer end of the lens. So the two cameras we had, we did shooting DSLR, with a 70 to 200 mil. So it allowed us to sort of take a step back and but also sort of get up close. And compositionally, it was a conscious choice that we wanted a busy frame in pretty much everything we shot. There wasn't a lot of wide shots used. And the reason for that was we wanted to, in that idea of internalizing the experience for the audience, a busy frame seemed to be a good way of showing the focus and determination which is required at all levels of the boxing, whether it's training or the focus in the dressing room before a training session or before a fight. So we did. There are a few wide shots in there, so you get a sense of space, and so you know where you are as an audience. But really, we wanted to keep the framing quite close and the composition with quite a busy frame, to give that idea of focus and connection with the subject matter.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today, Andrew.
Oh, cool. That's it. Fantastic.